Revenue Assurance and Compliance Enforcement (RACE) program was established to confront these issues head-on. Through innovative strategies, RACE aims to track and reduce revenue leakages, ensuring that more funds reach the government coffers. RACE works tirelessly to monitor key sectors such as petroleum, mining, and customs, where leakages have been most prevalent. By implementing tighter compliance checks and utilizing technology, RACE is revolutionizing the way Ghana collects its tax revenue.
Services like public education and then healthcare suffer the most. Schools face budget cuts and then reduced programs. And then with the healthcare, there's limited resources, which affects the access to proper healthcare.
People don't see the usefulness of the tax that they pay to government, because when people realize that the money that they've paid into the government coffers are being used to build schools, clinics, giving us a better roads in the country, at the end of the day, I believe most people have the zeal to pay for tax.
A lot of Ghanaian people are not properly sensitized about the whole tax process, and I believe if the government engages in more tax educational programs, it can go a long way to help curb the issue of tax leakages. The second is to leverage on technology. I believe if the government leverages on technology, it's going to help streamline the tax collection process, which would, in the long run, curb the issue of tax leakages.
To me, I think the government should give the traditional leaders, the local governments, the power to look after the resources there so that they will use it to build their town.
Another key player in this transformation is Strategic Mobilization Limited, SML, working in tandem with the Integrated Customs Management System, ICUMS. SML has been instrumental in enhancing revenue collection through technology-driven solutions. The Integrated Customs Management System, or ICUMS, has digitized customs processes, improving efficiency and reducing opportunities for corruption. With real-time data on imports and exports, ICUMS ensures that all goods crossing the borders are properly declared and taxed.
So before SML, from January 2019 to April 2020, which is a 60 months difference, NPA and GRA record the products that we use in this country, the petroleum product. NPA records theirs for the lifting, and the taxman GRA also record theirs for the tax purposes. Now, if you look at the infographics we are looking at, NPA, whilst NPA records 6.387 billion liters.
A bit more. All right, you're still live on Good Morning Ghana. The show is also live on 94.1 FM on your radio dial. We made a promise to you that we have a one-on-one conversation with the Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited officials, and they have some good news for Ghanaians. It's about Ghana, it's about nation building, it's about what is good for this country. And I've got some great news that I want to share with you. They are 5 years old, so they've been celebrating their 5th anniversary, and they thought that it was important to share what their success story has been so far since they decided to set this up in order to help the country, which is help Ghana. So joining us this morning to tell us more about the success story is Yasewa Sapon, who is the Director of Support Services of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. She's my guest on the show. It's not meant to be a very long interview because they say a good story must not necessarily be, elongated or talked a lot about. Anyway, Yasewa Sapon, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the Good Morning Ghana show.
Good morning, Moro.
And I hope you're doing very well.
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah. Before we started the interview, I was watching, we played a very short documentary on what SML has been doing for this country ever since you set up, and it's quite a refreshing, story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quite refreshing. How far have you come? It's been 5 years. What is there to celebrate?
Yes, so many. But before I start,
okay,
let me say good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners. and to Ghana as a whole. Thank you for the invitation. And yeah, so SML celebrated 5 years a week ago. We celebrated it for remarkable experience in the downstream petroleum. We've achieved a lot when it comes to revenue assurance. We came to partner with GRA for years to help them be able to improve the revenue mobilization mandate that has been given them. What is remarkable about what we do is that we came, first of all, we are wholly Ghanaian owned business. So it's 100% Ghana.
100%?
100% Ghana. Okay. Ghanaian.
Okay.
So it's a Ghanaian business, homegrown initiative that needs to be supported. And, you know, at current, we are employing over 450 direct posts and indirect. Yeah. And we also, you know, when you have homegrown initiative like SML, your investment is in the country, supporting the GDP of the country.
Right.
Apart from all the other benefits we bring along. But our value proposition that stands rare in today's business landscape is the risk-reward business model structure that we bring on board. So what this is about is that we bear all the costs of everything. I hope that time will allow us to be able to show to you. We brought the videos. We want to show to Ghana what we have done, the deployments we have made on the field, and those that we have integrated the deployments on the field, the data we are collecting, to the automated systems in our data facility center, so there will be no human intervention. Right. So all of these deployments together with the automated systems have been deployed by us from needs assessment, piloting, operation, maintenance. You are dealing with a lot of software, you need to update them and all of that. Government has not invested in it a peswa. We put the proposal on the table. We are going to finance this, give the solution and the benefit. Government takes 95% and give us 5% of the reward that comes. That is a value proposition that is rare today on the business landscape. We also come with real-time monitoring.
So let me understand. Is it 5% on the additional revenue you're able
the excess gains
to
revenue,
raise, or the excess gains?
The excess
5%
gains.
on the excess gains. So government was making, say, 1 million cedis. With the technology that you have deployed, you're able to make, say, 5 million cedis.
Yes.
So the 5% is on the 4 million.
The additional the 4 million that we have. That's huge. Yeah. That we have brought to add to what government is getting. It's called risk-reward business model. It's a balanced, you know, arrangement that is made, considering it's a low cost to government, you know, but high benefit to government as well. Okay. And we bear all the costs, including even duties. We are working with GRA. Okay. But the things we bring in, we pay duties for them.
Would you have wished you didn't?
No, we don't want to place any burden on government. That's why we put that on the table. But if we are giving, we will take. No, everybody, you know, if we are giving, we will take. Okay. But yeah, we don't want to burden the government.
Right. Right. So do you play within the downstream sector or the upstream sector or both?
At current, we have spent 5 years in the downstream. Okay. But we have an extended, because of the proven track record that we have in the downstream, GRE saw the need that if you are giving us real-time insight in the downstream, please, we have need also in the upstream. Because, you know, we are not Jesus. We can't walk to the waters, deep sea operation. But we don't have real-time insight. The real-time insight is, as we speak, SML is giving to GRA every lifting of petroleum product that is going on across the country. Boga, Bupe, Akosomo, Takrade, Kumase. We have insight into that, even to the point of drilling down to the OMC's activities. So this gives them first-hand information as it's happening. And they need that also on the upstream, so they can be able to give to the nation every information that we need at every point in time on what is, how many barrels of crude oil has been extracted and stored and taken off for export and all of that. But we have not started that yet. But the contract is signed. We have a contract for that. It's an extended scope to replicate the downstream. Okay. The same also for the solid minerals, starting with the gold. We have also developed the system for it. We call it SML Nova. Okay. We brought a video to show that, so we will show that as well.
You can say that, as you can tell, as you can see, whilst we're having the conversation and you're talking, we're also showing on the screen some of the state-of-the-art equipment that you fix, so that we can kill two birds with one stone.
Yes, so what you are seeing right now is the SML Upstream Central Data Facility Center.
Oh, you set it up already?
Yes, everything is 95% ready. Okay. The upstream and the solid mineral, the gold, SML Nova. This is the upstream. So at current, we have 3 FPSOs running. FPSO Ivan Setamels, FPSO Kwame Nkrumah, and then FPSO John Ajikunkufo. So what we have, if you look at this, we've sectioned it into 2. This is the picture for the FPSO. We have the other section where GRA has interest to know. That's when the petroleum product is, the crude oil is extracted and is being separated. The crude oil that comes to storage, the hydrocarbons, that's where GRA has interest in, to know, to meter, to know how much has been extracted and stored and how much is being taken off, so we can claim the royalties in real time. We are going to monitor that when we start the operations. So together with the offtake manifest and all the other monitoring documents, we give to GRA, and they are able to, make their own decisions about what is happening.
What is it about your services that's so unique that others can't do?
A lot.
What makes you stand out?
A lot. So the first one is that we are the system we have deployed, the technology we have brought, is the first of its kind. We partner with Honeywell in Houston, America. When we presented what we needed, they told us point blank, we've not done this for anybody in the world.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because, for instance, in the downstream, they are privately owned. The infrastructure is different. No 2 depots in the downstream have the same architecture. That means when you are designing for them, you have to customize it. So every deployment we have made in the downstream is customized. Now, when you go to other places,
so what are these? So sorry, go ahead.
So this that you are seeing are the field deployment. So this is the energy panel. We want to ensure that at every point in time, the information we are taking don't cut off. So we have solar panels, we have batteries, all of these put together. And then these are the flow meters, ultrasonic flow meters that we have strapped on the pipes. And they are strategically placed at the gantry, near the gantry, where the product is going to leave the depot. This means that no fuel leaves the depot unaccounted for.
Wow.
When we came into the downstream, because the infrastructure is already established, you can't intrude. So you have to do a non-intrusive. These are the forms, the technology for non-intrusive. So this is the ultrasonic flow meters. We also have the receivers and the converters that convert. The ultrasonic flow meters are measuring the pulses. So, but we have to be able to read it in a data form. So the receiver, this is a receiver, the one showing now. They are receivers that receive the pulses and convert them into readable data that can be sent into the data center for reconciliation purpose. Now, what is unique about SML is that we have fused the field information with the software, which we call our flagship software called SML Experian. We fused that together. What this is doing is that when the field information is collected as they are flowing, and this is automatic tank gauging systems as well. This is very important deployment that was needed in the downstream. It is recording, you see it's on the top of the tank. The big tanks we are looking at, these tanks were climbed by GRA officers every morning and evening to go and measure. They use dipsticks to go and measure the petroleum product, 20 feet tall. But because of this deployment, they don't have to go and do that anymore. It is to their discretion if they want to do that. What this is doing is that it is measuring the linear quantity of the product in the tanks. So at every point in time, in real time, GRA through SML knows the exact balance that is sitting in every tank in the depots across the country. That's the real time for that. Is also the flow computers at the depots. That is storing, it's a computer, storing the information and bringing it to the data center. What is interesting about this is that there is no company that is doing this for government where the field information like this is seamlessly integrated to the software. So once this is done, it's sent to the data center. And the data, the SML experience, that's the reconciliation. When we came to the downstream, the biggest issue that was facing GRA was that when the lifting volume is recorded, that didn't have a problem. NPA's system records it beautifully. But the taxman records less than half of what has been lifted. That means that you and I, Ghana is losing revenue. So when NPA records, system records the lifting for, let's say, 7 billion, GRA was receiving about 3 billion. Because the reconciliation, they are working on manual processes, as I've shown you. If you are climbing this tank to go and dip stick, to measure, you know, they are prone to error. They are prone to risks of human manipulation.
So this is your thermal tank file?
So yeah, this is the dashboard. So this is the data. When the data sends to the center, we see it in this way as well. Fine.
Please continue. Yeah.
So
you're talking about the discrepancies between what NPA, for instance, records and what GRA records, and the need for the reconciliation of the figures.
I brought this to you.
Okay.
I also brought a presentation that if they can, your production team can show it to me. I could.
So I see monthly average benchmark for taxable volumes before SML, after SML. Okay.
Yeah.
I see 237 and then I see 388.
Yes, before.
This is what you want to see.
Okay, so if you can go to the impact for me.
Impact.
Impact. If you go to the impact, we want to show to Ghana our impact, what we have done in the downstream. Now,
this is, here we go.
Yes,
our impact by the numbers.
Our impact, they come in two. First of all, we give qualitative benefits and quantitative benefits. The numbers are the quantitative one, the ones that we can place figures on. And the qualitative one, there is a picture that we brought. When we went on suspension last year, you know, people brought all this noise. So they said, go on suspension, let's look into this. I want Ghana to see what happened. Can you show me
that period where you took a break?
Yeah.
You want to tell us what happened?
Yeah. We have evidence of what we are talking about.
Okay.
If your production team...
So before if you can go, here we go.
No, that is the impact. But I wanted us to look at some of the qualitative ones, the ones that we can't measure, but they are critical.
They're critical.
So if you go to, I think, the fourth slide.
Fourth slide, right?
You will find some SACs.
Okay.
So what is happening is that before SML,
it will be
physical documents.
Okay. Is that a way bill stored in SACs?
Yes.
Okay.
So the way bills, which is like a pink sheet in the downstream for government, because when OMCs lift the products and they claim they have not lifted, the only way GRA can take the money for us is by the way bills. And these way bills, before SML, were stored in this way. They were stored in SACs.
I see.
Look, Moro, we are in an era where traditional AI has been outcomputed by generative AI. And even generative AI is also being outcomputed by integrative AI.
Absolutely.
This is what Ghana wants. Those who are claiming that SML is not doing anything, that SML should be taken out of the space, because this is what they want. The reason being that when this happens, this is national data on the floor in SACs. If I took a product and I don't want to pay, what do? It's very simple. Find a means to get my recordings from here. That's it, period. The money is gone. And so all of these are evidence that we have come to show to Ghanaians to say that SML is in the news, not because we've done anything wrong, but with the figures that I'm showing you, if yes, let's go to the figures.
Okay.
This, together with what we have brought, we have reconciled the money we are talking about. If you can go to the first graph for me, the first graph. Where the money is.
Okay. Where
you will
the
see
figures are being shown.
The figures are being
shown.
What was and what is now.
Okay.
The difference between the
NPA
record. Yes, this one.
Good.
So before SML, you see that NPA was recording 6.3 over 6.3 billion liters. This is an analysis we did for 16 months.
Okay.
GRA would only record 3.1 billion liters.
Okay.
The difference is more than 50%.
That's huge.
Yes. That is a gap. That was money lost through the gaps in the system.
Wow.
Human processes and all of the things that we should... If you store your physical documents in a sack, these are prone to happen. If you are measuring with dipsticks, these are prone to happen. Now we've provided them automatic tank gauging system and metering systems across the depots in the country. You know, what we have done is that if you can go to the previous slide.
The previous slides.
Yeah. What we have done when SML came into the scene, we've matched the volumes. If NPA records 7.4 billion, GRA is also recording 7.1 billion. We've brought the gap from 3.2 billion to 260 million. That was within May 2020 to 2021.
Wow. 16
months just after we started operation. So we did the comparative analysis to show to Ghana that, look, this is what we have done. It's even now very flat now. We were still, you know, new and improving the systems.
So it's still work in progress. But the target is to hit zero.
The target, you know, government have exemptions.
Okay.
When we are having a project as a nation, we have to, you know, so those ones, the 260, some of them are those ones, yeah. But mainly, this is about 91.88% reduction that has been done. Let's talk about figures, numbers. So these are volumes. So when we translate it into figures, if we multiply the gap with 1.44, which is the tax rate, we still stay at 1.44, even though the tax rate is now 1.7, thereabout, yeah. When you multiply that with the tax component, what you are looking at, under 16 months, please can you go to the revenue gap? Next slide. Next slide. That's the graph showing how we have aligned the gap between NPA's recordings and
that of GRA.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yes, stay here for me. So, what you are looking at is that under 16 months, private people were illegally getting over 4.6 billion Ghana cedis. The gap you saw, translate, if you multiply that, and we have, you see the reason why I brought this, we've published this, we have the data sources there. We've been saying this since last year. Nobody has come out to disprove that. Under 16 months, people were getting over 4.6 billion Ghana cedis into their pockets and short-chaining Ghana's revenue. And
yeah, but these are people whose your existence would be a threat to them.
Yeah, that's why we are where we are. This revenue gap in the downstream has been for a long time. Nobody wants to look at it because
people have made billions.
What it takes for anybody to tackle that is what has brought SML where we are. You know, you need to have, we've stepped on toes. We accept that because people who have been, and this is 16 months. So imagine, it's been for years. These stakeholders see SML as a threat.
I see.
And they will instigate whoever can be bought and be sold to come after SML. That is why last year you heard about us. We are in the news, not because we don't have a contract, not because we've taken money unduly. You know, GRA is being audited by the Auditor General every year. If SML since 2020 had, you know, taken money unduly, Auditor General would have flagged that.
Yeah.
We've not done any criminality against the nation.
Right.
We are where we are because under 16 months, people, private people, beneficiaries, we're getting over 4.6 billion Ghana cedis. And now,
that's free money.
Yes, because when it's lifted, once it's recorded, you see the NPA recording, it's always been around that average, 450.
Yeah.
When they record, NPA records that it's been lifted, it means that the product has been taken.
Yeah.
And that we should get tax for it. So if the taxman, which is GRA, is not enabled to use automated systems to do the work, and they are relying on human, manual operation, these things are bound to happen. So SML came in to bring in the deployment. We've shown Ghana the deployments we've done. The time wouldn't allow us. There is more.
There's more
that we can show.
Right.
So we've done, this is one of it.
Right.
If you go to the next slide, we've also shown how we have the monthly average volumes. When we came, it was 208 million letters every month, and GRA was receiving about 299 million. We've more than doubled that. So now is the average monthly taxable volumes is 450 average. The money that it translates to is the 648 million Ghana cedis, more than what GRA was receiving. And that was going into private pockets. So we are up against individuals and private people who are angry that why should GRA bring SML in that space?
They take their food out of their mouths.
It's not because SML is not doing the job. We have a documentary to show to Ghana. We will engage the public because we recognize that they are the stakeholder base. They will see what we have done. In the coming weeks, we are going to show to Ghana the documentary we have made to allow Ghanaians to see for themselves. And they will judge for themselves whether everything we are showing and what they have heard, who is telling the truth, because two people cannot be telling truth at the same time. There has to be one who is telling the truth and one who is not.
Okay.
And we believe, with all the evidences, we hope that we are telling the truth, and we have evidences for it. Anyone who has claimed that SML is not working, SML, up to date for a whole year, nobody has been able to bring evidence against SML. So yeah.
So we need to know this. The machines and the computers that you're using, the metering machines and so that you're using to basically gauge inflows and outflows. What is the margin of error for these machines? We need to know so that we can contextualize the impact that you've made so far for Ghanaians.
Yes. So there is a compensation that they give. The technical people will be able to explain deeper into this.
Right.
But you see, the product, the petroleum product, works with temperature as well. When it's cooler, they condense. When it's heated, like our temperature we have, it's lightened. So the stakeholders, which is the Standard Board Authority, NPA, GRA, they have agreed at a certain limit that should be, I think, a plus or minus 2 within that range, 1 to 2. If that, what we are recording and what has been recorded by the depot meters is beyond that, it's flagged. And GRA needs to look into that. That is the margin of error that we allow. It's been set by the Ghana Standard Authority, so we have no part in it. It's a standard that is there already. But I wanted to say this. The cumulative benefit, the cumulative benefits of the SS gains that we have been bringing on board from May 2020, since we started operation, to December 2024, brings the volume to 14.1 billion letters, which translates to over 20 billion Ghana cedis. This is a young company in less than 5 years giving this contribution to the coffers of the nation. And we have not ended there. In fact, we are waiting for our principals to give us the green light. We are extending it to the upstream because we know there is also potential also to the gold. And that was the video that we brought. We are going to give real-time insight and replicate what we have done in the downstream on the upstream, so we can know the barrels that has been extracted, taken off. At the gold room also with the gold. From the gold room, we are going to track the product, the consignment. So we have the we have the analyzers that will analyze the chemical composition, which will give us the purity of the product. And when we have the purity of the product, it is able to help the system, the software SML Nova, to calculate an estimation of how much we should expect the product to be. And that gives an estimation cost of the royalties that we are supposed to receive as a nation. Now, when we finish with that, the analyzer is also able to tell us the company details, and it tags the product. When we tag the product, it's able to give the map where the product was tagged, and through the transportation processes, everywhere the product is until it hits the refinery, the system is tracking it. So once we begin operation, gold that turns into precious, we call it precious stones.
Absolutely.
Because gold that turns to stone, it's not going to be anymore, right, at least for government led by GRA, And when we hit the refinery then gives the final, cost of estimation for the product that they have received. So the system will send us data back in Ghana to tell us the product has hit the refinery, this is the estimated cost. We reconcile with what we did here. And I'm sure that once we plug in GRA and the standard board, just like the margin you are talking about, they will establish that.
Right.
And once we establish that, we know this is the royalty due the nation in real time. So gold has left the shores of Ghana, and it's not so. 20 years, we still don't know the records of that product. It's going to be a thing in the past. It's a remarkable, I call it remarkable, and I call it also a new era in the extractive industry for government. Once SML starts this operation, from our assessment, we know that together with the downstream, in the next 10, 15 years, we shouldn't put our cup in our hands to go and beg IMF or anybody. We can generate the money here. And SML is ready to enable GRA, the institution that the whole nation has mandated to, collect revenue from these natural resources for us. What is important to me, and for me as a Ghanaian, I love so much about the technology we have brought, is the data. Probably because I have a research background.
Right.
So it's the data, because the world is running on data now. So the data that we are going to receive in real time is going to allow the country to be able to make informed decisions, right, about resource flow. And it is beautiful. We going forward, what we will do is that we will engage the public strategically as we have started. Right. So they will know from time to time everything that is going on. So they can be informed, they can appreciate what we are doing. And together as a nation, we know that we have eyes into the natural resource flow that's going on here. Okay.
All right. So in case you just joined us, we're talking to Yasewa Sapong. She's the Director of Support Services of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. Now, they have been talking to us and sharing the success stories about what they've been up to in the last 5 years since the company was incorporated in this country, and the huge volumes of revenue that they've been able to generate for this country, for which reason they require and expect everybody, all of us Ghanaians, to support them. Remember, this is 100% Ghanaian owned. And there's nothing like capital flight where monies are going to be siphoned to some other countries, and that puts a lot of pressure on the dollar. It stays here in Ghana. And also, you're looking at the fact that 100%, most of the workers there are Ghanaians, so working with them. And now she's telling us that because of the success story within the downstream petroleum sector, the upstream petroleum sector is also coming on. It's coming up quite strongly. In fact, they're now looking at even partnering. So what it means is that you're actually looking at partnering Gold Board, isn't it? Is that part of your plans?
We don't do collaboration directly.
Right.
We've been employed by GRA.
Right.
So if GRA deems it appropriate, or they see that they have to
Goldboard will need your services
with Goldboard.
Okay. Why not?
They work through, just like we work with NPA through GRA.
Right.
If we want to do anything in the downstream, we tell GRA, this is where we are, this is what we will need. And GRA will lead, and we will have the collaborative,
But is this something we're looking forward to? Because when I look at the kinds of machines and equipment that you have, the technology that you have, I don't see a situation. I don't see why, for instance, the Ghana Revenue Authority shouldn't be telling that, look, we need you to partner Goldboard as well, so you can help us monitor what is going out and what is coming in.
I'm sure going forward, because Goldboard is also for the solid minerals.
Absolutely.
Just as NPA is for the downstream. And GNPC also for the upstream.
Absolutely.
So it's a collaborative effort. But the vision is not stopping in Ghana.
Hey.
The vision is
you are
Pan-African.
internationalizing. You're globalizing.
Moro, we can't do this and stay it in Ghana.
You mean Africa needs your services, not just Ghana?
All over Africa, governments have, I think according to the African Development Bank group, over $90 billion just go down the drain through illegal financial flows. So governments are looking for credible partners like SML to partner with, to do these things that we are doing for Ghana. So we've already started talking because, Ghana set the pace. They see, they watch. So when they see that there is something new, they approach.
Right.
And we are talking, we are on the table talking to these countries as well. So the vision is a Pan-African vision. We are going to enable African governments to enter into this transformative era. So we can, together as a continent, we will grow by raking in revenue that will help us develop our nations. That is the vision, that is where we are going. So it's not just about Goldboard, Ghana, GNPC, no. Everywhere that we have natural resources, we have issues with revenue leakage. And mostly in Africa, the root causes of revenue leakage are the outdated systems that we have, the lack of technology that we have. And our system is the first of its kind, like I started with. It's the first of its kind, innovation that we have brought to this. Everybody, we've had calls. People in this country have seen it, they've observed it. Those who have seen, we've opened our doors for many to come and see. And we are telling Ghana today that our doors are open to all who wish to see firsthand the transformative technology that Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited has brought to the nation. So our data facility centers are open. We want Ghana to know. We want Ghana to see that Ghana, Africa can build strong and boldly to transform our continent. And SML is leading. And we are very happy that it's a Ghanaian. That's why we know the name Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. We are taking Ghana with us. You know how billionaire Alinko Dangote is taking Nigeria. Everywhere we mention Dangote, it's Nigeria. Everywhere we mention SML, is going to be Ghana attached to it. And our vision for the next 10, 15 years is to establish that. When we were starting in 2018, the vision we set was that by 2025, we will be key decision makers in the revenue assurance. If you look at what we have done, we've achieved remarkably in the downstream, and with the new innovation we have brought on board, you know that we have more than achieved our vision. So what we have set for ourselves, we will achieve it, and we will bring the report to Ghana. Ghanaians will also hear. Thank you.
Now, before you take leave of us in the next few minutes, what do you have to say about what some of your critics have said about, you didn't have full approval from the Public Procurement Authority before you started your operations? What's the story there? What do you have to say to us on that?
What I would like to say about this is that we have a PPA approval.
You do have it.
We have, people, it was thrown to, Ghanaians were misinformed. It was thrown
tell
to
us
Ghana.
The truth. Okay.
In fact, it's a disinformation that was given to.
Disinformation.
Yes, because people are angry. 4.6 billion Ghana cedis under 16 months was going into their pockets. Now you've taken that out. What do you want them to do? They need to come to the public court, which is the Ghanaians, to tell them stories that will make them, evoke sentiments. And that was the way they did. Evoke the public sentiments, tell Ghana, SML don't even have this contract, they don't have this, they are not even working. That was what the critic said. We are not doing nothing for money. But look at what the deployments we have done. Everything is ITES certified. When we say ITES certified, it means, in the petroleum industry, it's a charged environment. You can't use ordinary things to do deployments. So they have certification materials that they use. If you buy, let's say if this pen is a cable that you buy for your ordinary work in your home and it's, let's say 200 Ghana cedis, ATES certified will be bought at 10 million, which is...
That's 1,000 cedis?
1,000 cedis.
Yes.
That's how you buy that for. So all of these things have gone down. We've done them. And somebody claims that SML is not doing anything. Taking money has no... In fact, the way they put it, it even looks as if we don't even have an office.
Yeah.
So when we have 10-year contract, when it's not the case, there is nowhere that there's a 10-year contract for SML. SML has not done that. So we have a contract for the downstream, upstream, and the gold. It's been approved by PPA. We have the evidence for it. And I don't know whether we have the time. I could go through my files and show you the PPA approval that we have.
Yes.
We have everything.
I don't have any reason to doubt you. I just wanted to set the record straight.
Yes, we have everything. So SML is operating legally in this country. And we as far as we are concerned and we know, we've not done any criminality. Okay.
There was a question I asked you earlier, and we have the next 5 minutes to wrap up on this. Right. So, and to be fair to you, I distracted you at some point because I wanted you to also, walk us through some videos that were showing. I asked about what is so special and unique about SM in terms of the services that you're rendering that, no other government institution can render, for which reason we must continue to work and to partner with you. And you talked about the quality of the machines and equipment and technology that you've deployed. What is it? What again?
The real-time insight.
Okay.
That is what has been able to bring the money up. Right. Because OMCs could lift beyond their bond, the bond limit that they have set for them. One OMC can lift the bond limit within a day.
What's a bond limit?
So their insurers have insured a certain amount that when they get to, that is how much they can afford if they get into issues with GRA. Okay. So GRA knows when they go beyond that, then they are getting into that situation. Okay. So they don't allow them to lift beyond their bond limit.
Right.
Once they do that, you are entering into indebtedness with them. They close the company, you will not find it anymore. It's gone. Right. Once they know they can't settle that bill. How do you check this? You need a real-time insight. If you don't have that, you will not know. They will lift within a day. But GRA has, within a month, they have 2 windows. First 15 days window, and then the last 15 days window. So by the time they are able to sit to do reconciliation of all of this, the company has lifted everything they want to lift, and they've gone bust. Where do you find them? Also, because of the automation that we have brought, when GRA closes work, in some video that was accusing us, I think they asked, so do you need SML meters to watch? 24-hour surveillance. Look, in our very homes that we live, even when we are asleep, people are breaking in to come in to steal. So what about the bonded warehouse where there is no monitoring going on? And GRA, they are civil workers. They have to close from work. There is a closing hour. So after the closing hour, who is watching? Who is watching what? You see? Okay, so if liftings go on, the products are lifted, they will not be accounted for. But because of the automated systems we brought, the metering, the automatic tank gauging systems, we are recording. If we, by close of work today, we recorded 5.2, and tomorrow morning we come and we have 5.2.1, the depot will be responsible to pay for that. And no depot wants to pay for that. So now, no fuel leaves the depot unaccounted for. Let me give you an evidence. Before SML came in, 2020, before 2020, you see there were mushrooming of fuel stations. Even behind your window, there was a fuel station coming up. Because when they lift the petroleum products and they don't pay for the tax, it's cheap. Mind you, most of the BDCs, the importers, we call them bulk distributors, they have OMCs as well. So they sell to themselves. Some of them also own the bonded warehouse. If they do the transaction in the absence of GRA, how would they know? People were getting the fuel without the tax component attached to it, so it was cheaper. When you pick the fuel, you can't take it to your house. You need a dumping place. And the dumping place cannot be in the bush. You have to put it in a place where you can sell to the public. So you need to open a fuel station. That was the reason for the springing up of the fuel stations. The issue we have come to settle was critically becoming a national security issue. That is why GRA commissioned SNYOM auditors, EY auditors. If you have heard EY report, they did an audit because the stock reconciliation was awful. Seaboard did the same thing. The findings were consistent. The reconciliation of the lifted products and the taxable volumes, it was nothing to compare. This was up, this was down. And it's all because the products are lifted unaccounted for. So the value proposition SML brings to the table is that we bring automation, and not just any automation. You know, the furthest you can go, companies come in, they either do the field deployment and then the humans will write the rest. That is not the case with SML. We have the field deployments at the depot that sends the information over the secure satellite and brings it to the data center, where the SML Experience is the flagship software program. It does the reconciliation itself. GRA calls it SML Totalizer. It does the reconciliation itself to ensure that the measurements we took at the depot, the measurements we took from NPA, the measurement GRA has in the GRA icons, and the SML meters itself all align. If they don't align, there is a problem. That is another one thing. We drill down to the OMC activities. So at every point in time, we know OMCA is lifting as we speak. OMCA is lifting from Kumasi, from Akosombo, from Boga, because we have the fuel stations across the country. And you can't come all the way to Tema to lift. You have to lift at the nearest depot. So when we need fuel at the fuel station in Kumasi, OMCA has to go to the depot at Kumasi to pick the product and send it to the fuel station in Kumasi. We are looking into all these activities. The time, the product type, the system is recording it. The flow meters, they record the product type. And the benefit of this is that before SML, sometimes these product types were switched. If petrol was lifted, because the tax component of petrol is higher, kerosene is subsidized because it's for our old folks in the village, you know. Mm-hmm. So what they do is that they switch. If we lifted petrol, we will write that we lifted kerosene. That is an avenue for revenue loss. Wow. Now it's automated. The system itself is able to detect the type of product running through the pipe. So we don't need you. Thank you very much. Everything is recorded, and it's not even humans going to record it. The system sends it via the satellite to the data center. So we drill down the OMC's activities. That doesn't stop there. We also do the tax reconciliation to help GRA be able to know the estimated revenue they are supposed to receive every day.
Okay.
So as we are totalizing how much has been lifted and we are monitoring it,
okay.
The system is also, it's
right.
an AI.
Right.
It is computerizing the money as well. So at close of business today,
okay.
GRA knows exact amount they are supposed to receive in a downstream.
I get it. It's work ongoing in the downstream sector.
Yes.
The work is ongoing.
Yes.
Because we can't afford to lose even a second. A second means a lot of money going down the drain.
Yes.
Okay. But how about the upstream sector?
We've not started.
It's still work
yet.
in progress.
We have finished our part.
Okay.
SML, we finished everything. It's just about waiting for the green light to plug in and play.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's where we are.
Fine.
So we finished. We've unveiled it.
Okay.
We took the advantage of our 5th year anniversary in the downstream to unveil what we have done for the upstream and the gold. Yeah.
So in conclusion, we have transformed GRA's vision of digital revenue assurance into reality, making Ghana the first in Africa to implement a real-time petroleum monitoring and specialist tax audit solution. Through our platform, Ghana is transitioning from revenue fragility to resilience by closing long-standing gaps in key sectors such as petroleum and solid minerals. SML's impact is not just measurable, it's transformational. We strengthen institutions, protect revenue, and set a new standard for public financial management, proving that with the right tools and partnership, Ghana can stand tall, build boldly through homegrown, globally benchmark solutions, and finance its destiny on its own terms. And I'm reading this from the brochure you just gave me.
Yes, we are going to place them in strategic places like the Shell stations.
For people to read up and get to know more about
you know the figures I was talking about?
Yeah.
We've put them in tables, so every month, everybody can see how much figures were recorded. So we can all make the calculations ourselves. We are giving evidence of what we are saying.
So every quarter, every month? How are you going to do it?
This is since we came. This is the first. So we will continue. Like I said, we will strategically engage the public. We will continue to let them know what has, because I think one thing that made our accusers very successful, SML was barely known by anybody. If the public knew us as they are knowing now, it would have been a different case, because the public would have said, no, you are lying. Yes. Yes. Thank you very much.
All right. When you're dropping these brochures, don't forget to drop some of the front desk of the media houses. Because we are the ones who are inspiring the conversations.
Thank you.
And we'll be asking the questions. But when we have the information, it also helps us to ask the right questions. Yeah, I want to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
It's wonderful having you here. I think that you've simplified it. You've made it very simple for ordinary people who may not necessarily be following what's happening with the downstream and upstream petroleum sector and how important your role is. We'll now be able to, anyway,
thank you.
Yasa Wasapon is the Director of Support Services of Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited. She's here to share the success story of the company in the last 5 years since they've been around. I hope that you have been, apprised with the requisite knowledge enough so that when issues come up, you're also able to ask the critical questions. Yeah, thank you so very much once again, and have a wonderful day. All right, so this is where we end an extended version of Good Morning Ghana. As you can tell, it's a commercial interview. It's been paid for. It's not free, and so we're not doing PR for anybody. It's been paid for.
Bold, unapologetic. This is Annie Ampafo. The voice of reason, a force of media. She's the one Ghana turns to every Monday morning for the headlines that matter and the conversations that shape all of us.
And on the basis of Article 34, that's the Directive Principles of State Policy, we meet here again this morning, and you're welcome to Good Morning Ghana.